Hello and welcome to By the Way with Beth and Stacey. I am Beth Cooper.
I'm Stacey Earlywine, and it's weird weather outside.
Yeah.
It's weird warm.
It feels like there's a storm a brewing.
There is a storm
I feel like
a-brewing.
The neighbor on Mary Poppins. You ever watch Mary Poppins?
You know what? I have never seen Mary Poppins.
Oh my gosh, I've watched it a million times, but there's this neighbor and he's always like, there's a storm a brewing. You know?
Well, there is,
Yeah.
isn't there?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is weird, though, because it's weird warm.
Uh-huh.
And yesterday, the other day, Joey and I were out, and we were out running around. Vixen needed a haircut, so we went and did that. And it was like, okay, it's overcast, and there's lots of rain. But every once in a while, there would be the most bright lightning. Just like, it's like, where did that come from? Even at one time, JoJo was like, yo, what was that? I said, I think it was lightning.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
Yeah, it was a very stormy, rainy day yesterday, and all day long I was singing Cold November Rain by the Guns N' Roses. You know that song?
Yeah.
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 It just made me think of it. It's just a rainy old November day. It was dark all day.
It was dark. I think it's not real bright out today. It's dark today. Rainy days and Mondays always get me down.
Yeah.
That's what I always think about that. And, one of my, guys, she mentioned the Guns N' Roses. One of mine is, what is the Elvis song? And the cold,
Kentucky Rain?
Yeah, the cold Kentucky rain.
Yeah.
I love that song. I love Elvis.
There's a lot of good songs
Elvis.
about rain.
There is. Raindrops keep falling on my head. Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, there's lots of them.
Yeah, so anyway.
But yeah, I always go to the Carpenters. The rainy days and Mondays always get me down. I don't mind it. If I don't have anything to do, I really don't mind a rainy day.
I actually like a rainy day. It doesn't get me down at all.
We probably need, now if it goes on for days, I'll be like. But we probably need the rain. It had rain for a minute. I think all the farmers are done, right?
I don't think so. I think that there's some of them that are still going. Still going. Silas sometimes helps a farmer down at Wayne County.
Yeah.
And they're still going, I believe.
Yeah, I think Mac is done.
Okay. Well, good.
I'm almost positive he is. I don't know. I'll find out because we've got Jack and Joanna today. Pawpaw's there with him right now. And when I get done, we're going to go eat our annual Mexican. And then I'm going to go do what I need to do. And then, yeah. So I don't know. Jack will let me know today if it's, he'll let me know if it's a good season or what.
Oh, okay. He's the farming expert. He's 5.
He's
5, and he knows all about it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Because like now he's sitting on everybody's laps and he's driving. So the other day he was like, y'all, I should probably learn to drive. It's like, you can't reach the pedals, buddy. You're 5. Calm down. But he does.
A few more years he'll be driving.
Oh, gosh. Yeah, them farm kids, don't they start driving about 9, 10? As soon as they can reach the pedal, they'll be done. Craziness. Craziness. So what else is going on in your life besides the dreary day?
Yeah, no, not a whole lot really. Just busy with work stuff, and the kids are submitting their Christmas lists to me. Okay. Which I asked for. I'm not going to lie. I said, get it together. Let me know what you want. Our family is not big on surprises. My kids don't really like being surprised. I'm the same way. I always knew exactly what I was getting for Christmas before Christmas. I never.
Even as a little kid? Oh, not me. My mom would not. No,
because I snooped.
Beth!
And if I couldn't find it before it was wrapped, then I unwrapped them.
Beth Cooper! My mom would have taken everything back. Did your mom know this? Debbie? Did you know she was such a little thief?
My brother was the same way. That's who taught me how to unwrap carefully and rewrap. My kids inherited the same thing. My dad, I can only think of one time that my dad was ever really, truly mad at my kids. And I think it was Malia. And it was several years ago.
You mean the best one he got mad at?
It was probably 10 years ago. She was probably only like 10 years old. But apparently I wasn't there. She'd went to spend the night at Grandma and Grandpa's. And apparently after they went to bed, she unwrapped all of the presents under the tree and then rewrapped them all carefully. Almost like she was my daughter. And not that I showed her how to do that, but anyway, she did it. She did a pretty good job of it. But my dad is a very good wrapper when it comes to wrapping presents, and they're perfect and they're beautiful, and he puts a lot of care into it, and they're really done well.
Yeah.
And he could tell.
I bet.
And he was not happy with her.
My mother was a pretty particular rapper. I would never, because I'm not. I mean, Jim, if he cuts it in half, if he's cutting it and he cuts the Grinch in half, when it comes back together, the Grinch is perfectly taped back together.
Oh.
Jim's an engineer. I'm like, oh crap, it'll be bulky on the ends because I didn't want to take the time to cut it off because I'm just going to throw it away anyway.
Yeah.
I'll just roll it up, put tape on it, and be like, oh, I missed that part, so I'll just take another piece and slap it on top of there.
Yeah.
Let's just put it this way.
But
nobody would hire me in a Hallmark movie to be the gift wrapper.
Yeah. I can do it if I want to, but I'll tell you, with the kids' gifts, I don't, because I don't even put bows on them anymore because they're just stacked on top of each other in a pile. The kids don't care. They throw it all away. They don't look at the beauty of the package.
No.
However, if it's like a special package for someone like that's an adult, I will put more care into wrapping
Well, I'm not.
But you don't.
I've given you presents before. Have you ever noticed them being wrapped together?
I haven't.
I don't buy bows. It's a waste of money. I'm just going to throw it away. No, I'm a weirdo. I don't like buying cards. I don't buy people cards.
Oh, right.
Cards are outrageously expensive, and I think it's stupid.
I agree.
Just think
Cards
it's stupid.
have went through the roof. So
what is the deal?
I don't know, but back at Mother's Day, so back up to May, I didn't realize how much inflation had hit cards because usually you could find some of them that were smaller and they'd be like $1.95, $2.95. Like a really expensive one might be $3.95. I picked out cards for all of the mothers in our life. So like my mom, Jason's mom, and then I picked out cards to grandmas from the kids. Like they all got their grandmas a card. There was a couple other people I wanted to mail a card to. So I had a stack of like 10 cards probably. And I went to pay for them, and they all rang up $8.95 each. 9 cards times 10 cards.
Oh, I didn't put them all back.
$9. I did. It was like I was spending
ridiculous.
$90 on Mother's Day cards. Like, what is happening in this world?
No.
And this was at Flora Walmart. And so I watched her ring these up, and I'm like, wait, I didn't look at the prices on the back. And these were not big fancy cards. They didn't have glitter on them. They were very basic. They were just they weren't even big. Some of them were those little bitty ones. I'm like, what is happening in this world? So I had her, I'm like, okay, I'm sorry, just take all the cards off. I'm not buying those. That. And I know Dollar Tree has cheap cards.
They do.
So I had my kids, which they actually like to make cards. So I had them make the card to their grandma that that was from them. And then I went to Dollar Tree and purchased like 2 or 3 cards, and that was it.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
So then fast forward to like one person in my family's like recent birthday. And I didn't get this person a card because I've been boycotting cards because it's just so ridiculous. And I had actually looked, because I got this person a gift card from CVS. So while I was in CVS, I thought, well, I'll look at cards just to see if I want to put this gift card in a card. Nope, they were all like $9. And the ones that were like $1.95 or whatever, they looked super dumb and they weren't anything like this person would have wanted anyway. So I was like, I'm just not getting a card. But then this person was like, well, you could have bought a card at Dollar Tree. I mean, I'm like, I know I could have.
Somebody actually, they mentioned it to you?
Well, right. But this person likes to get cards, and there's nothing wrong with that. And I'm like, I know. I'm sorry. I know you like cards, and this person is watching, and so they're probably like. But I'm like, I know they like to get cards. It's just I've been boycotting them.
No, I
need to remember to go to Dollar Tree more often.
Yeah,
honestly.
I love Dollar Tree. Dollar Tree is one of my. I'm Dollar Tree, Dollar General. I'm not paying that much for cards. But I've been a cheap card buyer back when they were like $2 or $3. I'm like, that's stupid. You're just gonna. I just think it's stupid.
I know.
And I'm not that person anyway. I'm not gonna write anything. I'm not that. Now there are people out there that have that's like the older ladies of the church or women of the church that are wonderful card givers and have and can write.
That's like a good ministry.
Beautiful. It is a good ministry. It is a good ministry. I'm not gonna lie. It is, but it is not my gift. It is not my gift. I'm just not gonna do that.
Right.
Yeah, we were at Jim. We were up at the Christian Life. What is it? Life Touch up there at Lewis, up at Effingham. I can't remember that Christian bookstore there behind the mall.
Oh yeah.
And I got a new Bible. I got a new Bible carrier because I needed one for my Bible. And Jim was buying Bibles for Santa Smiles, or I don't know what we're doing. Anyway, and there's that thing where you get the boxes of cards or whatever. Yeah, that like a box of those cards, and they were like $39.90. And I'm like, for a box of cards.
Wow.
There was a bunch of different ones in there. I'm like, Stacey, don't be dumb. You're never going to send a card. Yeah, because I'm thinking maybe nope. But I can look up ads.
Yes. What ad do you have looked up for us today?
Well, I got
what
stuck in the 1890s. I'm probably going to be in the 1890s, and I love this ad.
Okay, let's see it.
It's a cocoa ad.
Okay.
But look at the bottom of the little boy. Eyes raised on it.
Oh my.
No better food. Dr. Andrew Wilson. Fry's strongest and best cocoa. Pure concentrated. 275 gold medals and diplomas. But yeah, I love this 1890s ad, and the eyes raised on it.
I feel like that is a pretty racist ad, Stacey.
You think it is?
Yes, I feel like because
look how cute he is.
Because I know, but I think because he's a black boy, they used it for a cocoa ad.
Oh, I never.
Like he was.
I never even made that. I'm just thinking, look how cute he is.
Yeah, I think it's insinuating. I don't know.
That's not very nice.
No, it isn't. It really is not. Maybe I'm reading too much into it, but I don't think so.
Okay, at the very
there's
bottom,
hardly any ads from that time period up until
I thought that was interesting.
To have a black child in it. There's hardly ever in any ads.
Hey,
but
go
yet,
back to the picture real quick.
Yet they used it for
at
that.
your locally owned Napa Auto Parts stores in Florida and
Fry's pure concentrated cocoa sold only in tins with gilt tops, as others are often substituted for the sake of extra profit. Yeah, no, I just thought, well, what a cute little feller. I was raised on it. Yeah, you're probably.
Oh no.
It probably. He's like, I love him.
Yeah. Well,
I was raised on it.
Forgive us for sharing something so racist. We did not know.
No.
Stacey is very innocent.
He's very cute, little feller.
Yes.
I loved him.
Yeah, he was cute.
I loved him.
He was cute.
Yeah, I didn't even make the connection because sometimes,
your brain doesn't work like that.
It doesn't work like that.
It's okay.
Because I'm not a racist.
Right. I'm not either.
My brain doesn't work that way.
But when I see that, it made me sad for that little boy that's the one that they put him on.
Yeah, you're right. I
don't know.
It was.
So,
and we're going to take a commercial break.
We'll be right back.
at your locally owned Napa Auto Parts stores in Flora and Louisville, you can count on experts to have the solutions to keep you running on the road or in the field. More than just your car, the Napa Auto Parts stores in Flora and Louisville carry a large inventory of Napa products for farms, heavy trucks, and just about everything that moves. Experienced associates understand your needs and are ready to help with the perfect part at a great value. That's Napa Know-How at your locally owned Napa Auto Parts stores in Flora and Louisville. Briscoe Surplus Sales on the northeast edge of Flora is your one-stop do-it-all shop. Looking for rugged boots and footwear from great brands like Lacrosse, Rocky, and Carolina? They're there. How about top-notch small engine parts and service? Briscoe Surplus Sales has it. Whether you're wiring your switches or switching your wiring, Briscoe Surplus Sales has the solution and the know-how to help you get the job done right the first time. Briscoe Surplus Sales, your one-stop do-it-all shop.
We like technology at Flora Savings Bank. Here's what you can accomplish in our mobile banking app in less than 30 seconds. See account balances in your transactions, set up an account alert, make a transfer between accounts, get an alert text message about your transfer, pay a bill, turn your debit card off and then back on. It all happens in the palm of your hand with our free My Bank to Go app. Search My Bank to Go in the App Store or Google Play and give mobile banking a try. Flora Savings Bank, member FDIC and equal housing lender.
Welcome back to By the Way with Beth and Stacey. I have an interesting...
Well, this story, I'm ready for you to explain.
Yeah.
I read it, you know, a little bit of it, skimmed through it, and yeah, it's kind of interesting.
I have an interesting story to share with you that happened at Xenia, Illinois. If you're not from around here, that's just only about 6 miles from Flora. It's in Clay County, Illinois. And... basically, it's a really sad story. I'm going to get my phone out, actually, because some of the details are on my phone. But there was a couple that lived in Xenia, okay? Man and wife. His name was David Andrew Roberts. Okay? And he was a Presbyterian minister. Okay? He was born in 1880, and he died in 1907, which is when our story starts, in 1907.
Oh, okay.
Okay? So, his name was David Andrew Roberts. He was married to a woman named Where's her name? There's so many people in this story. Armada. Okay, her name. Isn't that cool? Her name, but they called her Maddie. Armada.
I like Armada.
Armada Miller was her maiden name.
Mm-hmm.
Jacobs was her first husband. And then Roberts. With her husband named Jacobs, she had 3 kids. Okay, but then he died.
Okay.
So then she got remarried to this slightly younger man because she's in her 30s. He's in his late 20s or in his 20s when they got married. And that was the Presbyterian minister named David Roberts. That was her second husband. With David Roberts, she had 3 more kids.
Okay.
Okay. So this is a couple, Armada or Maddie and David Roberts, living in Xenia, 1907. Have 6 kids.
Okay.
She dies.
Oh.
He dies.
Oh, my.
Tuberculosis.
Oh. Ew.
Now there are 6
orphans
in Xenia in 1907.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah. And so 3 of them are the Roberts.
I'm assuming they're little.
Yeah, they are. So he was... David, the minister, he was only 27 when he died.
Oh, my gosh.
Okay, and then Armada, she was 36 is how old she was when she died.
So she was 9 years older than him.
Yeah, she had already had a husband and had 3 kids.
Oh, wow. That's a big age difference back then.
Yeah, for the woman, it wouldn't have been if it would have been reversed.
Absolutely, but for the woman, that's big. Yeah, that's different. Yeah.
Okay, so she had TB. That's her cause of death. His really wasn't listed. I couldn't find his cause of death anywhere other than I'm pretty sure he also died of TB. Just from different things that were alluded to. But technically I didn't find his death certificate. Even on Ancestry, there was not any pictures of any of these people. There wasn't any birth certificates, death certificates. The information on this family was limited. But what I did have was this great newspaper article that ran. And it filled in a lot of the blanks. So basically you have these 6 children. Let me go through their names. From the first marriage that she had with Charles Jacobs, which I won't get into Charles. He was just the first husband. He died in 1900.
Yeah, he's not really.
Okay. So she had a daughter named Beatrix. Some spellings in some places have her as Beatrice, but in other ones it's spelled Beatrix with an X at the end. Then she had Winnie or Winifred, and then she had Luther. Okay, so 2 girls and a boy with the first guy. Okay. Then with David, her new husband, she had 3 kids, and that was Delilah. She was born in 1901. Then she had Marie Roberts Childress. She's going to be one of our main characters here in a minute. Okay. So then she had Marie, born in 1904. And then she had Albert, and he was born in 1907. Okay. So the first 3 were 1891, 1893, and 1896. So then, about 5 years later, then she started having kids again. Okay, so Delilah, Marie, Albert, all of these kids were split up into different homes. There was a grandmother that lived in St. Louis. From what I read, I don't think that she took any of the children. But it wasn't real clear on all of them where they all went. But this Marie, she kind of knew where some of the kids went. So Marie was still around here. Most of the kids were still in Clay County or in Wayne County, except for the baby, Albert Richard. They called him Dick Hendricks, okay? That was his adopted name, was Hendricks. Marie knew that he ended up in Danville. Okay, so then I'm going to jump into how this newspaper article starts. So it starts with a letter that Marie Childress received in the mail. And it said, Miss Marie Childress, I will appreciate it very much if you will stop writing to my husband. Thank you, Mrs. Dick Hendricks.
Ah, okay. So there's a little green-eyed monster happening.
Okay, so Marie had been writing letters all along to her long-lost brother in Danville. The brother in Danville didn't know Marie was his sister.
Ah, okay.
Finally, he gets married, and the wife is like, why does this woman write you letters all the time? Like, enough. So the wife took it upon herself to write to Marie and say, knock it off. It's my husband.
My husband.
Okay. So I'm gonna read you some of this newspaper article that ran that kind of explains the story. Miss Marie Childress, the adopted daughter of E.H. Childress, the press editor, and a senior nurse student in the Methodist Memorial Hospital in Mattoon, received the above short note in the mail the other day from Monmouth, Illinois. And the back of the little 16-word message is a story from real life, as unusual and strange as are the stories found in novels. So this is does sound a little bit like a book. Okay?
It does, yeah.
So Albert Richard Hendricks is a flesh and blood brother of Miss Childress. But they had lived for more than 20 years without knowing he had a sister in the world and without knowing he had 3 other sisters besides Miss Marie and a half-brother. And he didn't know until last week that he was not the very own son of his foster parents, Mr. and Mrs. James Hendricks of Danville. So, the Hendricks family.
Know he was even adopted.
He didn't know he was adopted, which still people today pull this, where they don't tell the child they're adopted. I am not an adopted child unless you ask my brother. And so I can't speak on this from experience, but I would think I would want to know. And it wouldn't make me love my adopted parents any less. Probably it would make me love them even more.
I'm telling you what, I have several friends that are adopted and an ex-sister. They all want to know where they come from.
Yes.
Don't hide it. It's silly.
Yeah, I don't see hiding it.
I think sometimes the adopted parents think, oh, you're going to... It's like, I would have more respect. You loved me enough to
take me. Yeah.
To take me. I don't
To give me a great life. Like, you've been good to me. Like,
yeah.
Okay, so back then, again, this is 1907, so people did things differently and whatever. But Mr. and Mrs. James Hendricks of Danville did not tell Albert that he was adopted, and they kind of told him some other falsehoods that we'll get into. But so Albert was a musician. He was in a band that was a musical organization with headquarters in Monmouth, and he, just a normal guy, but just didn't know he had all these sisters and didn't know. Because he was born in 1907. So he was a baby when his mom and dad died, which I think his mom might have died in January of 1908. Wow. So they died at the end of the year. They died within 6 weeks of each other.
Gosh.
The mom and dad. Okay.
That is so sad.
Mm-hmm. So Albert was in reality the youngest son of Reverend and Mrs. David A. Roberts, who died within 6 weeks of each other in the spring of 1907 while they were living at Xenia in Clay County, Illinois. This article says spring, but according to other things, I don't think it was the spring. I think it was the fall. But anyway, Reverend Roberts was the Cumberland Presbyterian minister in Fairfield. Then the family had decided to move to Xenia shortly before their deaths. So they had not lived in Xenia long at all when they died. So whenever they died, the baby was named Harold Roberts. Okay, but when he was adopted, they changed his name to Albert. They didn't even keep the name.
Keeping his name, yeah.
He was only 8 or 9 months old when they adopted him. From the afternoon of the burial of Mrs. Roberts in 1907, the 6 children had never since been all together at one time. Let's stop right there and talk about how heartbreaking that is. Can you imagine?
No.
Your husband died. I mean, that just thinking of my own kids who are even way older than what these kids are. But like if Jason were to die and then I were to die within 6 weeks and then all my kids immediately never were see each other again. Oh my gosh, dagger through my heart.
Yeah, that's a sad story.
It happened more frequently than we
all
realized
the time,
back then.
yeah.
Okay. So Mr. and Mrs. Hendricks took the little babe and there soon after adopted him. A record of this adoption is in the probate court records at Clay County, at the Louisville courthouse. The Hendricks resolved to never tell the boy that he was not their very own. And they have to date, today as when this was written, they have persisted in that resolve, notwithstanding the brothers and sisters, and Mr. and Mrs. Childress have inopportuned them to tell the truth about themselves. So Mr. and Mrs. Childress is who adopted Marie, okay? So after Mr. and Mrs. Childress adopted Marie on Christmas morning of 1916, so 1916 is what, 9 years after the parents died. Marie had first been adopted by another family. And then I don't know if this is in anything. I'm getting ready to talk about that part. Marie had kind of been passed around a little bit.
That's
okay. We're going to get into
We're going to take a commercial break first, then we'll get into that.
Okay.
Whew, when we get back.
It's a little confusing, but it's very interesting.
It's a very interesting story. We'll be right back.
If you're looking for a loan for your brand new home, call Clay County State Bank. If you want to transfer money so your future will look sunny, call Clay County State Bank.
We got checking and savings and bill pay too.
An online bank, just ask our crew. For all your banking needs, we think you will agree.
Clay County State Bank is the place you need to be.
Clay County State Bank.
At Clay City Banking Company, we're all on the same team, regardless of zip code. At home, work, school, or across the country, you can be part of our team with our cutting-edge mobile banking products. From your hand, you can check balances, transfer money, make deposits, and pay bills. Looking for a loan? We've got you covered with our mortgage, agriculture, commercial, and consumer loans. Join our team today. Clay City, Flora, Louisville, and Fairfield Banking Companies. We're the hometown banks, member FDIC, and equal housing lender.
Tomorrow. Some fear the uncertainty it brings. Some trust the promise it holds. At Grinnell Mutual, we are always looking forward to tomorrow, growing and innovating. So even if the plans you have for the future aren't the same as the plans that the future holds for you, you can be ready. Because we'll be ready, like we have been for over 100 years. Trust in that. Trust in tomorrow. Talk to your mutual agent today.
Your local agent is on the square. Louisville, Clay County Farmers Mutual Insurance.
Welcome back to By the Way with Beth and Stacey. I'm telling the story of this family. It's a very sad story. They had 6 kids. The mom and dad both passed away, and they left 6 orphans, the youngest of which was never told that he was adopted. But all of these years, he has one sister named Marie would write to him. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about Marie. She was adopted by the Childress family in 1916. And when she did, her adopted parents wanted to help her find the other kids.
Okay.
They knew the story, and they wanted to help her track down all of the other kids. And I think they didn't have any trouble finding 4 of the other kids. They kind of knew where 4 of them were. But it took them a year before they located Albert, who had gone with his foster parents from Flora to Danville. And then soon after that, Marie was able to visit the Hendricks family. So her family took her there and let her visit this Hendricks family. And so she continued to visit her brother. But he didn't know their relationship. His family, his adopted family, limited the information about Marie that they made him believe that Marie was a girl who had lived near them while she was at the home of her first adopted family, which was the Camp family in Flora, J.E. Camp. They were the first ones to adopt Marie. Mr. Camp was a photographer here in town, And so there was pictures of Marie, and they just kind of showed this youngest brother the pictures and said, "Hey, this was our neighbor. This was our neighbor girl when we lived in Flora. That's why she knows you."
Okay.
Never said this is really your sister.
Right,
She's interested. That's why she likes to come visit you. She's your older sister. It was never that. It was just this was our neighbor girl.
This is a neighbor girl. Yeah, because and the other thing that's kind of scary about this is like when you've got 6 children, you can't keep their identity secret because what if they go to high school to get, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Fall in love with it, you know what I'm saying?
I know. And so they changed his name to Albert, but I kind of wonder if she ever slipped and called him Harold, which was his given name when he was a baby. But okay.
That's so weird.
So they even told Albert, his new parents told Albert that this Marie had a brother somewhere in the world that she and her other brothers and sisters were looking for but had never seen. And so then Albert was interested in that story. And so he frequently asked Marie if she had found her lost brother yet. Have you found your brother? I know you're out there looking for your brother. Have you found him? Poor Marie. What does she say to that?
I don't even know what's happening with this
she wants to. She wants to honor his parents and not let the secret out if they don't want him to know. I don't know why they were so bent on him not knowing, but
they must have been
okay.
weird.
So he would ask Marie about the lost brother, not knowing that he himself was the lost brother. So they kept up correspondence through the years, and it got infrequent. It wasn't like all the time, but for 8 years, it was. Marie would write to Albert. Albert would write to Marie, back and forth. Okay. Meantime, Albert's growing up. He left home and joined the musical aggregation. Was that aggregation? Like some kind of band? He grew up and joined a band, I guess.
Yeah.
Musical organization. I don't know. And then he got married. But Marie didn't know he got married.
Right.
Okay. And so Marie didn't even know his address for a long time. And then just one day out of the blue, she got the address of her brother and wrote to him again, only to receive the reply from Mrs. Hendricks that I read at the beginning of the story, which I can reread for those that don't remember or missed that part, where it's a very short letter, very to the point.
It's very
Dear Miss Marie Childress, I will appreciate it very much if you will stop writing to my husband. Thank you, Mrs. Dick Hendricks. So...
funny.
Yes. So when Miss Marie Hendricks received that letter, she sat down and wrote her brother a letter explaining everything that had happened and that he was her brother. And I would love to see that letter. I don't have that letter.
Shoot.
There was a few lines that were unreadable, it says. They had a lot of respect for her for how she did it. But yeah, she wrote him back, and told him everything, like she was adopted by Mr. and Mrs. J.E. Camp. Then they gave her up, and then she went to live with Mrs. Eunice McCartney of Fairfield. And that person had adopted Delilah. She was the other sister from the second marriage. So Delilah was there. Then she went to someplace else. She's had a lot of names over the years, but she went ahead and made something of herself. She grew up. She went to nursing school. She was a great student at nursing school and everything. But yeah, so she ended up writing her brother back and saying, okay,
this is the deal.
Yeah. And so then after he found out, what was going on, that it made the papers all over. Like you can
see, that's what's weird. Why would it make the papers?
It was an interesting story. It sounded like a movie, basically. The headlines. This one was in the Mattoon paper. Boy learns local nurse is his sister. Miss Marie Childress figures in drama of real life, and. Yeah, there was, there was at least 10 or 12 papers that I found that had carried the story. let's see, after they all found out the news, Marie welcomed him and his new bride to the home of her foster parents, the Childresses at Fairfield. They had a great Christmas together for Albert and Marie.
Okay.
I know that, they went ahead and had a relationship after that. And the other sister lived there too, Delilah. She was also in Fairfield. So I think that most of the kids went on to have a relationship with each other. And I'm hoping that like their mom and dad were able to look down and be like, oh, they're together.
They're together again. I just cannot comprehend the adoptive parents.
I know.
And I wonder what. So
I guess they had their own reasons, but
did he ever go back to his birth name?
No, he didn't, because like I looked them all up for like where they're buried and stuff, and no, they all kept their adopted names and everything. But when it does get a little confusing when you look at them on like Find a Grave, and some of them were hard to track down because they're not listed by their birth name, they're listed by their adopted name.
Yeah.
But they do have articles attached, like on Ancestry, they have articles attached to their name that have their old name. So they're kind of both names in there are there in their information. But yeah. So anyway, very interesting story that happened right here in Clay County in 1907, 1908.
Yeah. It's kind of a sad story, but
yeah,
that is funny though that the wife,
yeah, and they're
got her knickers in a twist.
And the weird thing is like it shows a picture of the grave of the wife, Armada. She's buried at Xenia in the Oddfellows Cemetery.
Okay.
I cannot find any information on where her husband is buried. So I want to go over there. I'm hoping he's right next to her.
Surely he is.
But nobody has recorded it. He's not on her headstone. The headstone is just her information,
and you couldn't find him. That's weird.
No, so like on Find a Grave and everything, no, there's nothing about him.
On Find a Grave, does it even mention that she's married to him?
Yes, yeah,
but not where he's buried.
No,
huh?
Nope. And
that's unusual.
Here's another interesting thing. Marie ended up moving in the 1940s to Los Angeles, California. That's where she's buried.
Okay.
Delilah is also buried in Los Angeles.
Okay.
And I think there was one other of them. They all made their way west.
Huh.
And so they were, because I was looking for graves in Clay County, and I wasn't finding.
Yeah.
I did a lot of research trying to dig where these people were buried because it wasn't an easy one to.
Yeah, because Find a Grave. I mean, but like unless you know, but on Find a Grave, you have to get specific, like maiden names, birth names, dates. Mm-hmm. You know, right? You can't you can't just plug in somebody's name a lot of times. And
I mean, you can if you're under a memorial search.
Yeah.
But I mean, I just started looking for any Roberts that were buried in Clay County. And just Roberts, Clay County, and then narrowed down the ones that could have been them, but there were still a lot of them missing.
Right.
The Ancestry got me further on this story than Find a Grave did.
Yeah.
Just because they all had different names.
Yeah.
Buried under different names.
Yeah. That's nuts.
Yeah. So that wraps up that story. Then I have just a bunch of little tidbits here of little news. It's kind of like, we've talked about in old newspapers, like the little social things that they do.
Those.
And they're just like the Facebook of the early 1900s.
Oh, yes.
Like what was going on with people. And every time I come across some of these.
Did you find that on genealogical trails?
There's a whole bunch on there.
How'd you
don't remember.
Let me see that.
And I don't remember. I don't remember seeing these ones before.
Gossip and visiting news?
Yes, gossip and visiting
my
news.
gosh.
I like gossip from 1925. Do you?
I didn't know. I've never even seen that on the.
Yeah. So this is
fun.
This is 1925. This is one of the little tidbits. Flora's two Jims, Jim as in Jim. Mm-hmm. That is to say, Jim Barry and Jim Mann spent Monday afternoon at the Capitol. In the old days, Jim Mann was a saloon keeper or bartender in Louisville, but he was different from the average man of his calling. He never drank with the boys and seldom, if ever, touched the stuff. There was no disorder or loud talk about Jim's place, and an intoxicated man was never seen there. When business was quiet, Jim would take down his fiddle and play for his friends, and if his friends were absent, he played for himself. And it was good music, too. Not vaudeville or ragtime, but high-class violin music. Jim loved it, so did his friends. If saloons in those days had been conducted as Jim conducted his shop, there would be no Volstead law to worry county sheriffs and enforcement officers. That was February the 12th, 1925. That was just a tidbit in the paper.
How weird is that?
What is the Volstead law? You want to Google that one, Ty? It's Volstead. Volstead law.
Here, do you want me to read this one?
Yeah, sure.
Runaways are quite frequent in these parts.
Oh, really?
Orley Babcock's team ran off last week and damaged his wagon. On Saturday morning, Lita Sapp's horse ran away with a sled, breaking both front legs. On Saturday evening, while Mr. and Mrs. Edgar Kitley were returning home from Flora, the harness string broke and the horse began running and kicking, upsetting the buggy and doing quite a bit of damage.
I bet people actually died doing that.
Yeah, the source, the Flora Journal Record, Clay County, Illinois, February 12th, 1925.
Wow. Okay. We don't know what the Volstead law is. Ty can't find anything on that. So if anyone knows, email us at bytheway@gmail.com.
Never heard of it.
Yeah. Here's one that kind of cracked me up, although there's not much to it, but I just found it funny. Mr. and Mrs. Lane Booger. That's their name. Spent Sunday in Hillsboro with Mrs. Booger's parents. Aww.
I mean, it's just, I love it because it's, okay. Jay Obey from Dixon is spending a few weeks with his family here. February 12th, 1925.
That's all.
He's just here. You know, it's like...
People need to know what's happening.
I guess people just... I don't know. I think they're funny.
Okay, this one. One grocer at the Capitol since the 10th day of last November has sold 500 pounds of butter made and delivered to him by Mrs. Henry Blair of North Louisville Township. February 12th. 1925. Okay, so what are they getting at? So there's somebody with a grocery store, and Mrs. Henry Blair has delivered to him a lot. Is that the point?
I'm assuming that's the
point. She
point.
sold him over 500 pounds of butter? Are they insinuating there's something going on between Mrs. Blair and this grocer? I don't know.
We're going to take a commercial break, and we're going to come back and read some more of these.
Okay, we'll be right back.
Gossip and visiting.
Yeah.
Do you bowl like this? That's great. Do you bowl like this? That's great too. That's because whether you're a pro or you just want to have a lot of fun, at Peggle's Silver Dollar Lanes, we have a lane for you. We have galaxy bowling, gaming for kids and adults, Joe's Pizza, a full bar, darts, pool, and fresh and clean bowling shoes. Boy, does that smell nice. So come on down to Peggle Silver Dollar Lanes in Effingham, where we have a lane for you.
My name is Robin Stanford. I own Stanford Marketing. It's a promotional products business along with an embroidery business. And we do custom hats, t-shirts, anything, you name it, we can make it. People like that we do stuff in-house and we can actually make things here and that we're not contracting the work out to other places. We never say no. We always try to find a way to do it. If anybody can do it, we can do it. We are hardworking women, that is for sure. Come to Stanford Marketing in Flora for all your custom and promotional needs.
Jimmy ordered lumber, doors, paint, windows, electrical, plumbing, and much more. Oh yeah, Jimmy ordered guns too.
John Lucas.
What?
You better be dreaming about all the stuff we sell here at Zink Building Center.
Oh, I would. Zink Building Center in Louisville on Route 45. It's a cool place.
Welcome back to By the Way with Beth and Stacey. We are reading some tidbits of juicy gossip.
Gossip and
from 1925.
I love gossip and visiting news.
Gossip news.
They
just called it like it was, gossip news.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let me pick one. Kenneth Brentlinger and family of Flora spent Sunday with Willie Brentlinger and wife. I wonder if that's related to any of the Brentlingers we know.
I don't know.
I mean, that's kind of an unusual name, I think.
And did they tell it? Okay, so like here's one. Easy breezy, right? 1925. Pearl Anderson and Evelyn Trinkle spent Sunday in Flora. Okay. I mean,
Okay.
did they like, okay, we're going to go into town and we're going to spend the day there in Flora and we need to put this in the paper?
Here's one. Jim DeVore and wife called on Mr. and Mrs. I.H. Elliott Sunday evening. So I don't know who Jim DeVore was, if he was related to me or not. That was my maiden name. I don't know. My grandma might know.
Maybe.
Huh.
This was crazy. Miss Emily Angsine of Flora, Illinois, arrived Wednesday last to spend the winter with Miss M.A. Vanderveer. This came from the Defuniak Signal, Defuniak Springs, Florida. That was January 15th, 1887.
Oh, that's an old one.
That's an old one.
Wow. Howard Dillman completed a 7-year course as a student in the St. Louis Medical University a few days ago and graduated a Doctor of Medicine. In addition to his long course as a student, this young man has a year of hospital or intern doctor's practice to his credit. Oh, so go see him. He's been doing it for a year.
There you go.
He is the son of Mr. and Mrs. W.H. Dillman of this city and a grandson of Mrs. Kate Vickery, who are rejoiced over his success. It is said he may enter hospital work with Dr. Campbell at Flora. 1925.
Now, I don't understand this. Clyde Osbrook of Noble was a caller in Clay City.
He's got a girlfriend. He's got a girlfriend in Clay City. Yes. Clyde
he was a caller. C-A-L-L, a caller.
Yes, he called on a girl.
Is that
he
what
went
that
to
is?
visit a girl in Clay City, and he is from Noble.
Nobody said who it was.
Oh, this is a good one. Nicholas Easton of Hoosier Township was in town last Saturday to get his hair bobbed. We don't know how old Uncle Nick is, but he is old enough to wear the bronze button of a Union soldier and looks younger than he did 20 years ago. He's a veteran of the 50th Indiana Vols. While here, Uncle Nick informed us he attended the funeral of his old comrade and friend, George Roush, at Ingraham last week, despite the bad roads, and that the deceased soldier's daughters, Mrs. Lou Carter of Pueblo, Colorado, and Mrs. Homer Bryant of Warlow, Wyoming, were almost a week reaching the county after they received the news of their father's death, and they would remain in the county with relatives for perhaps a month or so. A brother of the Roush girls is buried in the old cemetery in Louisville, so Uncle Nick says, and the remains of the mother rest in Texas soil. The end. 1925.
Now, here's a good one. Mr. and Mrs. Rolla Barbie were initiated into the mysteries of the Rebecca chapter of the Odd Fellows Lodge of Louisville last Friday night.
Oh.
The attendance was good. The ceremonies were good. And the banquet was good. So we have heard. And good old St. Valentine was present everywhere in the settings.
Nice.
They were initiated into the mysteries of the Rebecca chapter of the Odd Fellows Lodge.
Oh, the mystery that we'll never know. Earl English and his wife have bought the B.F. Wineland residence property on East 7th Street. This is a 2-story residence containing 8 rooms and has been kept in good repair. Mr. Wineland and family will move soon to his property on 5th and Locust Streets. He contemplated building a modern residence in the spring. Okay, so let's talk about that. What house would that be? East 7th, 2-story house?
Let me think. I'm on East Street. East 7th.
East 7th.
Does it just say East 7th?
Yeah, I don't know.
Huh.
I don't know.
Well, I don't know what house that would be.
Yeah, I don't know.
Here's a good one. Esquire Albert Beard and Jim Coatney got together last Thursday, and before anybody could separate them, Jim traded Albert out of his home on the hard road in northwest Louisville.
Were they gambling?
I don't know.
Oh, my.
The property is known as the Will Eclia House, and Jim paid $1,250 for it. Mr. Coatney sold his place, formerly the Lane Orchard, south of the old cemetery, to Mont Stanley of Ingraham some time ago, and it is to give possession the 1st of March. The squire and his family for the nonce are without a home, but are not without friends. Somebody will take care of them.
Oh, my gosh. So he traded off his house and his family's got to stay with friends? No wonder that's in the gossip news.
I love it. But not without friends. Somebody will take care of it. How funny is that? And disturbing at the same time.
Yeah, a little disturbing. Mm-hmm. Miss Mamie Bunch, E.E. Bunch, and W.M. Carr motored to Olney on Tuesday to visit Mrs. Jazz Bunch at the sanitarium. 1925.
All right. Oh. Well, Mr. and Mrs. M.L. Cruz of St. Louis motored out to Xenia last Sunday and had dinner at the home of Mr. and Mrs. T.S. McConnell.
Okay.
They motored? Does that mean they drove their car?
They drove their car.
I'm going to start motor.
I'm going to motor.
I'm going to motor.
Start using that in my vocabulary.
When we get down here, I'm going to motor back to
I'm motoring home today.
I'm motoring home.
Motoring home.
Oh, gosh. Oh, my goodness. What do you got?
Let's see. There was work, and work is in quotations. Okay, there was work at the Star Lodge of Louisville Tuesday night, as well as refreshments for the weary and a good time for all. Mrs. Kathleen Goodenow of this city and Mrs. Madeline Richards, a daughter of C.E. Richards of Bible Grove, were the candidates. What kind of work were they doing?
I don't know.
They were in a lodge. They had candidates. Work is in quotation marks. They had a really good time. I don't know what's happening there.
Okay.
The Flora Boy Scouts have a new scoutmaster.
Oh, who was that?
In the person of Dr. Howard W. Goodpaster. The Scouts were organized with 40 charter members and expect to do big things this year. 1925.
Okay. Our Louisville correspondent this week tells of Captain T.W. Culbertson selling his residence in Louisville and of his preparations to move to his place in Flora on the corner just east of Albert Gill's residence on 5th Street. Doesn't say east or west.
Okay. This one I find kind of interesting. Miss Opal Greenwood entertained a party of young friends at a candy pull Friday evening. That's it. It's just one sentence. I mean, it tells you all you need to know. What's a candy pull?
I don't know.
They're making candy and making taffy? I kind of want to go to that.
I'm not going to lie. I get mesmerized when I watch taffy being made.
I know, like at the state fair.
I do.
The Malone's
first
taffy.
Of all, I love taffy, but watching it be made. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I love taffy.
I could totally.
Taffy's in my top 4 favorite candies.
I don't know if it's in my top 4, but I do like taffy.
I love taffy. It's right up there. I like anything that's going to pull out a filling. Okay, who's next? Me or you?
You go.
Clarence Coleslaser.
Oh, yeah. Coleslaser.
Coleslaser and family and John Lewis spent Sunday at Mrs. Effie Coleslaser's residence.
It's not Coleslaser?
No, it's
some weird name.
Cole.
I bet it was supposed to be Coleslaser. I bet they misspelled it.
Oh, yeah, because that'd make it a heck of a lot easier if it was Coleslaser. Cole, Colelasure. I bet you're right. Well, here's one. Mrs. W.S. Cooper spent Saturday and Sunday with her parents in Bridgeport. Boom, Cooper's easy.
Yeah, Cooper's easy. That's the best thing about my name is like nobody ever asks me how do you spell it.
Oh, for the love of the
It's
Almighty.
like Beth, easy peasy. Anybody can spell that. Cooper, everybody's got it. Like, no problems.
What's your name? Stacey, early wine.
Stacey with an I.
Stacey with an I.
Stacey with a Y.
Stacey with it. Stacey.
I-E.
It does. But then they're like early wine. Oh my God, how do you spell that? EARLEYWINE. Oh, just like it sounds.
Yep.
Yes, just like. But early wine will throw you way off. Hemp Hill wasn't better. What did you say? Hemp Hill? Oh, that's funny. Okay, your turn.
Okay, Joe Haddon, residing within a quarter of a mile of Xenia, was a house pattern buyer at the Capitol last Thursday. Mr. Haddon had the misfortune to lose his house by accidental fire a little over 2 weeks ago in 1925. So his house burnt down.
Aw.
He had to travel to the Capitol to buy a house pattern. What? They didn't just sell those at the...
They didn't sell them at the local.
Guess not.
Fremont J. Barman, Springfield switchman, was a Flora visitor last week. What was a Springfield switchman?
I think for this, he was a switchman on the railroad for the Springfield line.
Oh, is that what that is?
That's what I think.
Well,
it
he
is.
was visiting. He probably rode it on the train.
Probably so.
Okay, you got do one more, and then we got.
Okay, Vernon Hogg has purchased property in Upper Xenia. People, there is an Upper Xenia and a Lower Xenia. Did
I
you
didn't
know
know
this?
that.
Okay, so
I didn't know that.
He purchased his property in Upper Xenia.
Well,
and will soon move
la-ti-da.
up north to become a citizen on the upper section of the village. I'm singing, moving on up.
Yeah.
He's moving on up to the upper side of Xenia, people. For those from not around here, Xenia is a tiny village. It is not really separated into up and lower. Okay. He has purchased the old William Hogg property. Okay. Good for him. Good old Vernon.
Okay. Here's our
what do you got?
Jack Candy.
Oh, yeah. We got to end it with some humor.
Yeah, this is funny.
Okay.
What am I afraid of? I'll tell you. A feather. That's right. A feather. How could anyone be afraid of a feather, you say? That's an honest question, and I'll try to give it an honest answer. First of all, did I say it was a poisonous feather?
Oh my gosh. To be in his head. He's crazy.
I love Jack Candy. He's great.
He's funny.
He's great and he's nuts.
Yes. Uh-huh.
A big
Definitely.
fan. Big fan.
Yes.
That's it, Missy.
Okay. Well, we're done for today, and thank you guys so much for joining us, and we will catch you next time.
God bless you and have a great day.